Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Jim Downs on the line. He's fractional CFO and founder at Blueprint CFO. Jim, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Adam, and thank you for having me today.
Oh man, Jim. So I'm excited. For people that have watched this show for a long time, they know when they read that headline below that we have a new upcoming author on the show for one of our books. They know I get excited. So we're going to talk about your chapter that you'll be writing. We're going to talk about the content, some of the things. We're not going to spoiler it because we want people to go buy this book, right? For everybody that's been watching, we do sell books, but we'll get into the content and definitely warm everybody's appetite, or whet everybody's appetite out there for this book release. But before we do that, we'll start this show the way that we start them all, with our Mission Matters Minute. So Jim, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Jim, what mission matters to you?
Adam, our mission at Blueprint CFO is to work with emerging growth companies to help them make their accounting department great, so that they have the data they need to run their business and make great decisions.
Fantastic. And to all the business owners out there that have not gone down that journey yet, they need to. And for those that are on that journey and currently working through some of those processes, they know the value of this content. So I'm excited to have your expertise on the line to talk about what you do. Maybe just to get us kicked off, tell us a little bit more about your background. Like how'd you get started on this journey?
So I was a CPA when I started my career in Detroit, Michigan, and did that for 11 years. And what I found as being a CPA is I really didn't have the time to work with my clients and get into their books of records and identify data that is important to be paid attention to, that they should be paying attention to in running their business, and identifying what's working and what's not working. Yeah. And so this is a long time ago, and 30 years ago, I decided not to be a CPA, but be a fractional CFO, where I could spend every month looking at the monthly financials with the client and help identify trends that they're maybe not seeing because they're not trained as accountants. And so that is what we do with our entrepreneurial clients.
Fantastic. I love bringing mission-based entrepreneurs on to share, why they do what they do. So this is great. And just to tee up the book project, maybe for some of the newer viewers that haven't been following us for a while. So what we do at Mission Matters is we bring together a collective of authors, anywhere between 15 and 20 authors. And we look for the best authors we can find on various topics. They're all business leaders in their field. And then we get the best content we can, and we put them together, and then we publish a book so that our readers and our listeners can get the best of what they have to offer. So I'm really excited about this next book that'll be coming up. This will be our 7th edition. So really pumped to announce that. And Jim, just to go further into your topic now, I'm not holding you to this. I know we don't have the final edit yet, and I know that we're not going to publish yet until another month or so. But working title, like what can you share with us about this content?
So Adam, first of all, thank you for allowing us to participate in this project with you. We're really excited to be able to have a part in it. Yeah. And, having done what I've been doing for 30 years, there's lots of topics that I thought of that I could write about. But the one that we think is the best one to get in front of people to have them start thinking about this is the tie between accountability in your company and accounting. So how those words are so close together, accountability, accounting. And so the working title of our chapter will be, there is no accountability in a company without strong accounting. And the reason we that is because, if your data isn't correct and you sit down with somebody and you're trying to coach them to higher performance or hold them accountable for goals, if the data isn't right, the first step is you're wasting everybody's time, because the person's going to point out that they don't think the data is correct, and it just ends the meeting, and it's kind of a non-starter to have a fruitful conversation. So it's so important to have strong accounting, so everybody knows when we sit down and we look at the numbers that they're right.
I love this discussion and I love this topic, by the way. And I feel like, and just to be, I've been on both sides of the coin on this one. So I've been in situations where the data was great and it was because everything was done properly from the start. And then I've been on the other side where it's like, hey, didn't know if this business was going to work. So we didn't do maybe all the things we needed to do in the first place because we are running at such a breakneck speed. So to the entrepreneurs out there that are listening, like if you're in that situation where you don't have a command of the data, you're not alone. Like, I mean, sometimes you start a business, it starts growing, you start doing things in a certain way, and then you've always done it that way. And maybe the numbers you didn't think they were as relevant. Now you have all this data. You don't know what to do because it's not organized. It's not like you can't get what you need out of it. And so now you have to think about making a transition. So, I mean, in your experience, Jim, because of course you're way more experienced than me, like nobody intentionally has like bad data or doesn't have command of the numbers, right?
No, they don't. But this is going to sound a little self-serving, but most entrepreneurs do not see the value of spending a lot of money on accounting. They want to do the accounting at the lowest possible price because they view it as a cost. But really, investing in your accounting department will pay back because it'll help you understand better what's going on in the business and avoid making mistakes or spending money on things that aren't worth spending money on. So it's very important, but it's an educational process for the entrepreneur to see that, just like they spend a lot of money on sales and marketing, spending money on your accounting and making sure that you're getting the data, even if you're a small company, it's super important to have that capability within your business so that you get that data monthly or weekly or whatever.
So I wanna maybe go a little bit further down the line on this topic. And the reason is because I don't want to assume everybody like kind of understands that. So having the data, not having the data, making the right decisions, not making the right decisions. Like when everything's, let's just say, nice and clean and tidy, and the numbers are making sense in terms of the data, and the reports are correct, they're accurate. Like, how does that give a business owner more control?
So let me give you an example of where it wasn't in control, but now we've got it in control. And so we signed up a new client last year, and they're a trucking company, trucking and logistics. And due to COVID, they're expanding rapidly because now many people are buying online and having goods delivered directly to their house. Well, they have receivables of, let's say, $10 million of accounts receivable that they want to collect, and they were becoming old. They weren't collecting their receivables like they normally do. And when we sat down with the sales team to go over each customer and identify an action plan for collecting the receivables, the first thing that they said was, I don't think they owe us this money because every time I go to try to collect these invoices, they say they've already paid it, and that our accounting department is not recording the payments properly. So this is right in the beginning of our engagement. So that was a year ago. Well, today we meet with them every week, and everybody knows that we've cleaned that up. And that when we say that this company owes us X, Y, Z dollars, it's correct, and we're not going to waste time talking about do they really owe us this, because now they know the numbers are correct. So it just saves so much time, and it becomes much more business-like in how you run your business when your data is correct. So this is a company that never wanted to invest in accounting. It's actually our largest client. They'll do $50 million in sales this year, and it's a big company, but they just didn't think it was important to spend money on the accounting department. But if you don't have your numbers up to date and accurate and timely, then it just costs you money all over the place.
I asked for an example, but that's an example, Jim. that hurt my heart. Like, you hurt my heart on that one. I'm like, because
here's another one, Adam. We have another client. They're a consumer products company, and they weren't hitting their sales forecast this year. And when we delved into it, they have what they call SKUs, or each product has a SKU number, and I don't remember what that means. But we identified that of their fastest selling SKU, they were out of it about 40% of the time because they didn't order their inventory properly. So we helped them build a model to predict, what's going to happen in the future, and identify how to purchase the inventory. So we make sure that when the customer comes to buy something, that we have it. we identified they lost about $2 million of sales because they didn't have the right inventory.
Wow. I mean, that's significant. And so when you talk about, the cost, like there's always a cost. There's one that you're seeing, there's one that you're not seeing. So either way, people are spending, they just don't know. It's opportunity cost, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Without delving into the data with respect to stockouts and what sold and what didn't sell, the company's making money and it is growing. And so it just all lost in the shuffle because nobody's getting into the details. And, with us getting involved, they are getting the details and they see the benefit, which is phenomenal. And it's fun for us because now we know we're really making a difference for our customer.
The fractional, I'm shifting focus slightly. The fractional model. A lot of people have heard of it. Not everybody's used it. Tell us a little bit more about the fractional CFO model.
Well, so not everybody can afford a full-time CFO. A good CFO these days we're in Southern California, would be $30,000 a month, $25,000 to $30,000 a month. And then on top of that, you have data scientists that are, helping me get the data. We have fractional data scientists.
Yeah.
A big company. We just hired a young man and he worked at Panasonic. And he said at Panasonic, each department had a set of data team that was looking at data. Well, a small company can't afford that.
Yeah.
But it's very important. So if we can do it on an outsourced basis so that they can spend, a fraction of what it would cost to have full-time people and still have the benefit of getting that data and having that available to them, I think it's totally a home run for them and for us too.
So tell me a little bit more about like your view on how that relationship works. Because sometimes I feel like, business owners, depending on the size of the business, depending on the person, let me pick on myself here. That's what most of this show's turned into, Jim, is just me picking on myself. But I know when I started thinking about using outsourced any type of work, and whether it was fractional CFO or anything else, like there's a certain amount of that where you feel like, oh, well, do I want to give up control? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And it was kind of like me not quite understanding that it's a relationship, it's a partnership, and like how important that partnership can be to helping our business, in this case, Mission Matters, get to the next level. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship side of how this works?
Well, it's quite common when a company begins, and I'm in this situation myself. I started Blueprint CFO in October 2019, that you do everything yourself. You do your own accounting, you do your own HR, you do your own IT.
Every hat, right? Every hat.
The marketing. But as you grow, it's not going to grow if you don't, start thinking about creating, as you said, partnerships with people that can help you. And, it's great if you can hire full-time people, but that's not always economically feasible. So at a point in time, maybe when you get to be very large, you can bring in a full-time CFO or a full-time marketing person. But the fractional world is exploding. Actually, I mean, we tripled in size last year, and we're planning to double in size this year, just because there's so much demand for our services. People are getting the message that hey, maybe I need some help here, understanding getting my accounting straightened out so that I know where I am every month. And it's not only it's if you look at we just hired a fractional HR firm to help us because we know that up until now I've been trying to make sure that we're doing everything as we're supposed to do in a proper manner and following all the laws and everything. But it's just beyond me being able to keep up. And so if I want to grow the firm, just like all of our clients want to grow their companies, they need to think about partnering with different people that can handle those functions, and they can focus on getting more clients and developing new products and services. That's typically where they're best, just like you are. You would be just. If you can get rid of all that back office stuff that just kind of takes up all your time and ties you up, then you can focus on making more money and getting more clients and growing your business. It's phenomenal. So.
And a little something to be said for, and this was an unexpected benefit in just various departments and things that we've gone the fractional route for. is that when you have somebody that's specialized and even working with other companies, obviously the information's it's all confidential, all of that. So it's not that, but some certain best practices or certain things just kind of came out of it, because you're looking at trends at many different companies. Sometimes even a CFO that's full time is they're focused on that one thing, that one business. When you have a fractional CFO, like you're looking at many different types of businesses, many different things, and I feel like you have a different vantage point in terms of eyes. You're not getting, I guess the word I would say is stale. Not to any of the CFOs out there, I'm not calling you stale, but you get what I mean, Jim. Am I off on this? That was just some of my experience.
Oh, I always forget to bring that up, but that is very important, Adam, what you just mentioned, because we're working with right now, let's say roughly 30 companies. Well, across those 30 companies, all kinds of things going on, and we're learning, from them what they're doing, and we bring those ideas to our other clients. So a CFO that just goes to the same place every day and sits in the same office and does his or her job isn't having that exposure to what's going on in the world. So from tax credits that might be available, new loans, new financing opportunities that are people that want to invest in startup companies. If you just have that one person coming to the office every day and sitting in their office doing their job, you're not getting the benefit of that overview of what's going on in the world.
No, 100%. Like, and that was that kind of like just hidden thing that I seen in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like as some of these ideas would come in this, that, and I'd be like, I'd get something out of the blue and I'm like, wait a minute. Like how, like, I would have never come up with that. Our internal company dialogues aren't coming up with that. Like that's coming from somewhere. And I feel like that cross pollination of ideas and things like that just has kept us pretty much moving forward on things, but also I think competitive in our space. So I think it's a great point.
Let me just say one other thing on that, Adam, and the importance of the financial side. And my opinion, and this is just my opinion, that every entrepreneur needs a good financial wingman to help them manage their dollars and cents. Because at the end of the day, that's where all the rubber meets the road is in the bank account. So if you're running out of cash all the time, there's something going on that you're probably not doing right, and you need to rethink your business model. Well, that's what the CFO does. And so I believe that if you go back and look at the people that have been successful as entrepreneurs, many of them had a person that they partnered with that was their financial partner that you never heard about. I'm just giving a name like Steve Jobs. You've heard of Steve Jobs. Well, with Steve Jobs, there's some financial person to make sure he had all the money he needed to do his thing, right? And hopefully that wasn't Steve Jobs, because that would be a total waste of his unique talents. And that's the way it is for all our clients, is having a good financial person. They know how to go get clients and develop products and all that, but they need help figuring out, making sure that they're getting a good margin and they're making money at the end of the day.
So if somebody's watching this, and I mean, let's just say that they don't have command, and I know what you mentioned, the $50 million in revenue client that, at 10 million in outstandings that they had to collect, don't know where everything's at. So that's a big example. But, for the everyday business, that let's say that maybe they're growing, they don't have command of it, and it seems like just this overwhelming mountain that they have to scale to get everything in control. Can you just give a feel for it? I know this will be different, by the way, for every business, size, industry, different like practices, what they've got in place and not. But can you just give a feel, just generally, like what it looks like to go down that path of getting everything under control?
So I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, but typically we start out with a client where we'll have a CFO spend 8 to 12 hours a month with them, which is $2,000 to $3,000, which in my mind is not a big investment. But that person going in and looking at how things are being done within the company, we can see where there's opportunity to improve it. Not only just financially, but operationally and sales and marketing wise too. And so it just grows from there, because then the client you can show the client where the opportunities are to add to their bottom line or reduce costs, and it just iteratively grows from there. Where we have 5 CFOs, we have 9 accountants, and we have 2 people that are data scientists. So we can put together a customized team for each client that is unique to their client based on their data needs. And for in my mind, for a relatively small monthly amount, they have all this benefit of having the full-time CFO and data scientist and
for the cost of essentially, depending on the market, an entry-level position, basically.
Depends on how complicated it is. So like the company that had consumer products, they have $7 million invested in inventory. Well, you need that's complicated. So if you don't have that, then there's more still things to do, but it's not as complicated as that one. So it just depends on how complicated your company is and how much data there is to get your arms around in terms of how much effort there should be. Now, a lot of that data analysis can be automated. We do things where we grab data out of the accounting system like QuickBooks and push a button and have a 20-page custom report with all kinds of graphs and charts. And it's very labor non-intensive because it's all automated and it's basically, kind of artificial intelligence, which is cool. Yeah.
So circling back to the book. So what is one of the, and I know there's many, right? As whenever there's writing, but what are some of the things that you hope that your readers take away when they get through reading what you wrote?
So during my career, I was, as I mentioned, a fractional CFO, and during the Great Recession, I was asked by a number of banks to go and work with their customers who are in trouble and as a turnaround professional. Well, I found through that work, when companies get into trouble, it's typically because there isn't a plan, there isn't set goals, and there is no accountability. So people are coming to work every day and spending their time, but there's no, unified effort to achieve a certain objective. And so the biggest thing you can do to improve a business's performance is improve accountability. But you can't improve accountability if you don't know your numbers, because accountability goals are to be meaningful, have to be specific and measurable. And so that means quantitative. You have to have quantitative goals. Well, then you need quantitative reporting that's correct, that identifies whether you're achieving your goal or not. And so, the whole concept, I think, of accountability and accounting, how it all ties together is a game changer for business, because most businesses and every client that we go into and start with, they don't have a defined plan with set goals and have goals for the management team. And because of that, they're just leaving money on the table all over the place.
Fantastic. Well, Jim, I'm excited to release this next book. I'm excited to get feedback and to get your work out there so that our listeners and our audience and readers can benefit from it. I think it's going to be amazing. Of course, I'm going to invite you back onto the show when the book is released. But I just have to ask, so what's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for Blueprint CFO?
Well, I think I mentioned this the last time we talked, but our goal is to become a national firm because I believe that there's a huge need in the marketplace for a service to help business owners run their business better and make better decisions. And there is no firm that I know of that is doing what we do. So, we're growing, and we have to do it step by step. But I really think going back to Mission Matters, it's all about our mission to help business owners. And we're going to just try to be humble and make sure that we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing and doing it correctly and at the lowest cost possible. But I just think that we're on the way towards being a national player in this space. That's amazing.
What's the best way that people can reach out to you and your team?
So go to our website is the best place. www.blueprintcfo.com. On that website, you'll see all of our people and their experiences and what they've done. There's a lot of been there and done that in our team of CFOs. There's 5 CFOs now, and also case studies. So there's case studies for different industries of things that we found when we went and started looking at the data that, where we were able to make a big difference in terms of the bottom line by doing things differently going forward.
Fantastic. Congrats on the growth, of course. Excited to get you published. Excited to bring your work to our audience. And speaking of the audience, if you're watching this or you're listening to this, and this is your first time with us at Mission Matters, we're a platform that's all about bringing on entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. We get them on here. We have them talk about like what motivates them, like why do they do what they do. Like we get the best of their knowledge and we bring it to you. If that's the kind of content you're into, we definitely love to have you hit that subscribe button because we have many more mission-based entrepreneurs coming up for you, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Jim, looking forward to doing this book launch with you. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam. It was great. I really enjoyed being on the show today.